Hey guys, welcome back to this new episode of Style Zephyr HD. Happy 2019. I not only have my first unboxing for you, but also my first review for my first dabble into made to measure. So for that and more, stay tuned with this episode of Style Zephyr HD. Okay, so let's get on into this. Without being too technical on too much, I wanted to do my first review plus unboxing. And for a lot of different reasons, I wanted to do my first dabble into made to measure. In terms of custom suiting, you're going to have both your traditional made to measure as well as your bespoke. Made to measure is the much more budgetary, economic alternative to bespoke. Which is typically, by a master tailor. You've got your traditional legendary tailors on Savile Row. Every single thing about the garment is customizable. There's several different fittings. It's the fabrics. It's the different types of body structures that there are, so on and so forth. But again, I don't want to get too technical with it. The vendor that I decided to go with was Indochino. Was never necessarily much of a fan of them, but getting to know some of their staffs a little bit better from my local showrooms, and then learning a little bit about the history of them. Indochino is just that. They are a made-to-measure, primarily, manufacturer. They were initially based in, they still are based in Vancouver, and then they also have offices out of China. Now, in terms of why Indochino, it basically comes down to the cost. The logistics of what Indochino is being made to measure, the owners took the original goal of the company to manufacture a certain number of suits within a certain set number of years. They wound up partnering a few years ago with one of the biggest garment manufacturers in China that also does a lot of clothing manufacturing for garments for Banana Republic, Ralph Lauren, and one or two other companies. And this company wound up taking a stake in the actual Indochino as far as for ownership of the company. So what's really nice is that while they are being mass manufactured, they're being mass manufactured with a lot of different made-to-measure benefits, from the fabric, from the fit, all the different little factors that go into getting a suit eventually fit. Lately, I have not been having to wear suits. I prefer separates. Some folks might think that it might be more of a casual alternative, but I like separates in that I can be a little bit more creative. If I want to do a mix and match with my pants, I can do one different shirt to a jacket to the tie to the pants. There's just a lot more going on, and I think there's a lot more thought process involved. So I wound up, my first jacket that I had made, I had a really basic navy blue made, but, and it's one of the characteristics that I'm going to point out on this guy, I had it done with the widest peak lapels I could find. Tom Ford being one of my favorite fashion designers, I don't have to pay $5,000 for a Tom Ford jacket when I can have one of the same build made. And then the other benefit for myself personally was the fact that I have bad knees, but I also have a bad back as of the last few years. And a lot of times what will happen with different jackets of my sizes, whether I'm either a 38 regular classic fit or if I'm a 40 regular slim fit, I get a lot of additional fabrics into my shoulders, and I can't quite move around as easily as I want to. So what happens then is, as I'm standing at work or if I'm out socializing, whatever, I get a lot of restricted movements, my back really starts to hurt, and a few Advil later, I can't really enjoy myself for what I'm wearing or for my company-wise. So when you have a made-to-measure, all that is being taken into account. What your chest size is, your back, your waist, if you need to have, your crotch measurements taken for new pants, for tuxedos, anything else like that. So far, everything as far as the fit has been great. So the full-on experience when you go for an Indochino measurement, the first time I ever went, it was for my 31st birthday. Had our measurements taken, the whole 9 yards. Then you'll get to pick out what kind of fabrics that you wanted. My first jacket I had made was just a regular plain old navy blue. I had more of a textured fabric picked out because I like texture more than I like contrast. And then after that, it's a couple of different fundamentals. So from your fabric to the inside shell, and then to what kind of lapels you want, what kind of inside collar fabric you want, And then after that, it's a matter of if you want like a shirt ever made. If you want it, a lot of times, if you're going to wind up having a custom suit made, a lot of times folks are just going to go ahead and have a custom shirt made, whether it's bespoke or made to measure. For bespoke wise, you're talking $100 and up. If you're talking bespoke or made to measure wise, it's maybe $50, $60, $70, $80 and up, which is going to depend on the textile, the whole 9 yards. So you go for your fitting, you've made your appointment, you go for your fitting, you choose your fabric, you choose all the customizations that you want to, and then after that they tell you you're going to get your item in about 3 to 4 weeks. Typically it can take a little bit less than that. It depends on the time of the year. It's just like off the peg shopping if it's homecoming season or if it's prom season or anything else like that. The manufacturing is integrated into the manufacturer, which is overseas. You get a DHL notification via text message. I've been told that when you get that notification via text message, you usually get it when the item is about halfway arriving to your house anyway, which is pretty cool. I don't mind that as long as everything is to my liking, and I like so far all the different fabrics that they have too, and everything is it's again made for you. And now I'm going to show you in just a second. You're going to get another text message about 24 hours out from receiving your item. Once you do receive it, you're going to get a really cool box wrapped up in plastic. So that's your Indochino box. And then the box itself is kind of a big old mess right now, but everything is wrapped up really, really nicely. You get care instructions, you get a really cool garment bag, you get care instructions for how to take care of your brand new garment, and again, it's going to be, dry clean only, anything else like that. Don't do anything fancy to it or elaborate after that. And then after that, it's just a matter of what you like about it and then how you build it. This particular guy I finally had done with the Black Friday sale. For the longest time I had wanted more of a checkered print anyways, and for me something like this, it just makes me think of Ralph Lauren, except it didn't cost me 3 car payments in order to pay for it, or let alone in some cases even the car. So for what you're getting in terms of a custom jacket, it's a Super 100s, and again I don't want to be too technical, but in terms of your fabric quality, Super 100s. This happened to be a merino wool. It's got great body to it. It has a great drape to it, and for this time of the year, it's absolutely perfect. I still love my peak lapels, and these guys are the widest that you can do in terms of the width of it. And again, peak lapels, and we'll touch on more about it, I'm sure, at a different time. But for the lapels, it's more about accentuating your overall silhouette on your body. It's much more, especially in my case, much more masculine. It's just showing your overall frame a lot better. Plus, it's again very rustic. It's very Tom Ford-esque. And then after that, a little bit more simple. You've got your pig stitching along the outer side of the garment and out from the gorge. And then after that, the back vent, you can either have no vent, which I think is a little bit weird, your double slit or individual slit. This is an individual slit. The really cool thing as well, they all have the functioning surgeon cuffs. Historically speaking, if a doctor was ever needed for emergency surgery, he could, if he was out socializing or out with family, the cuffs could then be unbuttoned, and then he would roll them up over his shirt so he could perform emergency surgery. There, I just provided an entire history lesson in about 11.5 seconds. But in regards to the cuffs, you do have your functioning surgeon cuffs. You can opt, if you want, for buttonhole stitching, which is pretty nifty. It can either go between the cuff and as well as for the lapel. This has been the only time I've ever had a hiccup in terms of what I've wanted or not, because contrast is, I think, is kind of old and boring. Plus, for my lapels, I really tend to wear lapel pins. And lapel pins on a peak lapel, just in my opinion, for my eye, really makes the whole jacket kind of heavy-wise, because the lapel, and plus the lapel is so much bigger as it is on a peak anyways. But I usually generally will go with contrast on these, even though I'm kind of, contrast is dead to me. So for the lapel on this guy, I made it the brighter blue to go with the inside checker blue print. And then as well as on the functioning surgeon cuff, both sides, the individual buttonhole has the blue done to it. Your inside liner, well, let's go to pockets first. You can have a couple different styles of the pockets as well. A couple of them that are going to be the flap, or on the jetted, I wound up going with the flap over, if I can get this guy. So pockets across there are flap. Plus, I have them on the inside right now. You can take it on out and just kind of have it more of like a little bit more of a classic style as far as for the pockets goes. But I really like it. The pockets technically are functional, so it's pretty cool. I still got some threadings in there. That's how brand new it is. And then beyond that, your inside liner. I had a really cool kind of a geometric liner on there to kind of accent that brown on the inside. It looks really, really sharp. I'm a big fan of it. You've got the 3 inside pockets, so as far as for cell phones, headphones, anything else like that, just making sure I can see it. And then after that, you're going to have your branding. So your Indochino, made for you. And then I had a little script in a silver font with my initials monogrammed on the inside of the jacket. Pretty darn swank. I absolutely love it. What will happen after that, once you've placed the order, they're always going to have your measurements on hand if you ever want to have a new item made. And then after that, just a matter of what your occasion is. So if it's for a wedding or a funeral, it's the same thing. If it's for just general socializing, if it's for work, whatever, you can mix and match them all. So if you ever want to have a pair of chinos made, if you already have a pair of slacks or a tuxedo maybe that you have the old pants to and you want to mix and match them up, whatever. I also am finally having a shirt made. I've been wanting a shirt for the longest time, just between my back issues and then for the jacket and then everything now finally being the same fit. I'm really excited about that. One of my other only concerns was that when I had initially ordered my blue one, they weren't going to have the change that I had made with the top button because it was just a little too snug. Luckily enough, they had recorded this change, and once I got it, it was perfect, which I was over the moon about. Sometimes, especially when it's your first time, you will need alterations done. That's totally normal. What will happen is that you give it on back to them, and then they're budgeted that you can have a certain dollar amount worth of alterations made to it, which is pretty cool. And then, even then, in a bigger picture from a logistics standpoint, because returns and refunds can be very expensive, especially with being in retail. I'm not exactly 100% on this, but to the best of my knowledge, they do not have a refund or return policy, but essentially they fix it until they make it right, which is still pretty cool because that was an investment, and if you kind of decided on it, you should just have it made, and it's not like they can resell a custom, a made-to-measure piece of garment anyway. So, and then after that, last but not least, your pocket hole. I just kind of jazzed that up, white with the brown, makes it look really nice. The white goes with everything, and then the brown complements the brown on the inside of the check. So that's about it for this guy. I'm going to do another unbagging for the shirt I did have made, and then after that we're going to see how else we can do with them. They got a lot more garments, and especially with spring and the spring collection is coming, the fall and winter garments are all on clearance. So if you happen to be online, if you want to check them out online, have your measurements taken at Indochino.com. You can always measure yourself or visit your local Indochino showroom, make an appointment, what have you, and you're going to look pretty darn good because I love it so far. Is it worth it? I would say so. I believe that these are half canvas. I might be wrong on that. I often am. But this is according to my mother at least, I believe this is a half canvas. For the budget-wise, if you're just starting out with it, as long as you take care of your items and not wearing it every day to beat the hell out of it, because they're budget fabrics. They are not the best. These are not Zegnas. They're not Holland and Sherry's. They're essentially budgetary entry line fabrics. Do they get the job done? Yes. This is already my second jacket, so I would be remiss to say that I would not recommend them. So take a look at them online. Hope you see something there that you like. Thank you very much for tuning in for Style Zephyr HD. Happy 2019 once again. The season is being brought to you by the Alec and Bradley Blind Faith cigar from the Alec and Bradley Company. Same family, new amazing chapter. And until next time with Style Zephyr HD, remember to stay styled, but also remember to stay true to you. Take care.